I'm going to be reading out of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1. I'm going to read it here with you here. There is a time for everything, a season for every activity under the heavens. Everybody say there's a season. Lately, I feel like we have gone through all 4 seasons in 1 week's time. It will be 70 degrees on a Monday and snowy on Tuesday. What in the world is happening? Either way, we know that every relationship has a season. If y'all gonna get real with me today, we're gonna have a whole lot of fun. But y'all gotta remember and you gotta understand there's some things that are just a season when relationships, and sometimes it's going great and sometimes it's bad news bears. And other times it's just complicated. We know about those complicated seasons, don't we? But they're all seasons. And the question is, how will we handle those seasons when they show up? Today, we're kicking off part 1 of our relationship series, The Good, the Bad, and the Messy. Y'all ready? Let's pray together. Jesus, thank you for your word today. Thank you for the chance to get in here and discover what it is that you have for us in this message. I ask, God, for you to help us to see deep within our own selves, deep within our own lives, and the relationships we have and how we can grow in them together through all the seasons of life. In Jesus' precious name we pray, and everybody said amen. Before you're seated, I want you to find somebody beside you, and I want you to look them right in the eye. You were doing it already? And I want you to say, you're the best thing since biscuits and gravy. Did they feel it? Did they receive it? You may be seated. Some of you may know I love me a good Western. Oh man, I do. I want to know who I'm talking to today out there, so I need to know, is there anybody else out there that's with me that just likes a good Western? Let me see it. Now, Sister Thelma, you did not clap your hands right there. And you did not signify in the slightest that she likes a good Western. But she's got red cowboy boots on today and her cowgirl hat. My goodness. I'm going to ask only her the question, just so that y'all don't respond. Does anybody here like a good Western? Okay, all right. I was wanting to see if she was a poser or not, that's all. If you guys would have taken me serious today, I would have worn my cowboy hat and my boots up here. I wanted to real bad. But I think y'all would have been looking at that the whole time and not focused on my message. But from a young age, I developed a certain affinity for the dust, for the grit, and for the sheer manliness that comes with a Western. So instead of the cowboy hat and the boots today, I decided a little bit more subtle approach. I wore my favorite tie. You can't really tell out there, but those are little cowboys on a horse. A whole bunch of them. That's my favorite tie. But indeed, I love me a good Western. See, there's a lot of iconic moments in Westerns. Beautiful desert mountain landscapes, quick draw shootouts, famous lines like, reach for the yeah, or this town's not big enough for the yeah, or my favorite, I'm your huckleberry. Oh, if you know, you know. They've got some larger than life true stories like Billy the Kid and Wyatt Earp and the OK Corral. Then there's the epic fictional characters, but none more bad to the bone than the man with no name. Now, you may not be familiar with who that is, but I can pretty well guarantee you, you are familiar with his unforgettable theme song. possibly the best soundtrack in moving picture history. Yes, I'm talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. If life were a Western, every day would feel like you were stepping into a new chapter of an old story. Some days the sun rises just right over the horizon and everything looks like it's just going to fall right into place. The cattle graze peacefully under a sky so clear it looks like it was painted by God himself. The breeze carries the smell of fresh coffee brewing over a campfire, the sound of a slightly out-of-tune piano coming from the saloon. Miss Fortenberry, she says much obliged as the clerk from the general store hands her a bag of flour. On days like this, it feels like the West isn't so wild after all. Everything just feels good. Everybody say good. But then there's the kind of days where everything seems to be an endless cloud of dust in the air. There's the smelly stuff that's covering the streets. A woman is screaming because Bobby just hit Billy in the head with a bottle. And the sheriff has tuberculosis. The stagecoach is late and it hasn't rained in 2 months. It's days like these that you feel like it's just bad. Everybody say bad. And then there's the messy. The messy isn't necessarily good and it's not necessarily all bad. It's just complicated. Everybody say complicated. See, the Wild West isn't just about cowboys and cattle drives. It's a constant dance between the good, the bad, and the downright messy. But that's what made it legendary, see? It was the grit, and it was unpredictable, and it was full of moments that could make you laugh, moments that could make you cry, and moments that could make you feel like you just wanted to kick your mule. It was a place where the good and the bad and the messy all had their part to play. But no matter what came your way, you just had to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, tighten up your saddle, and keep moving forward. Rain, shine, or tumbleweeds. So whether you're wrangling your kids or your friends or your coworkers or even your spouse, after this series we're going to walk away with some tools to make the good a little gooder and the bad a little less painful and the messy a whole lot more manageable. Y'all ready? Let's ride. Let me start with something. I don't want them to put the slide up yet because I want to ask you to see. So those of you that got the text message that went out yesterday, I sent something that said MMMMR. Anybody try to figure out what that was? One person, it was my wife, and she raised her hand. I guarantee you, y'all send that to me, and I'm doing my best to figure out what that acronym is. I'm like, I'm going to figure it out. Y'all aren't like me. That's fine. My wife is, so that's good. MMMMR. So here we are. Let's look at it. What's it mean? Messy mindsets make messy relationships. Messy mindsets, I hope you're taking notes today, make messy relationships. See, the truth is most of us, we step off the train into the Wild West of relationships and we're carrying our baggage from wherever we came from. That's it. See, our old ways of thinking from where we were back east. We've got our old habits. Now I'm going to jump right into it, so hopefully you're ready. I'm done with my intro. We've got our old habits. We've got our old expectations. We got our old mindsets. And we step off of that train into the new frontier. And we got things that made sense to us where we started from. That's it. Because that's all we knew. But I want you to get this and I want you to write it down. You don't get to choose your starting point. You inherited it. You don't get to choose where you started from. You inherited that. See, maybe you grew up in a home where conflict was avoided. I'm going to get real right off the bat. Maybe the conflict was swept under the rug and it was never talked about. Now, when tensions rise, you shut down and you withdraw and you pretend like nothing's happening. Some of y'all will be in a full-blown argument, face is red, heart's pounding, knuckles white, and you're still like, no, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Oh, no, it's okay. It's okay. And everybody knows it's not okay, but we got that smile on our face and our heart's pounding and the argument's moving around you and you're just pretending like nothing's wrong. Maybe that's the way it was, the way you saw it. Maybe that's the baggage you carried with you. Or maybe you experienced something that was the opposite in your life. The conflict, it meant yelling. It meant slamming doors. It meant harsh words. It meant plates were flying. And now, when something doesn't go your way, you escalate. You get defensive and you go on the attack because where you came from, whoever yells the loudest wins. Some of us inherited a mindset of instability. Love, it seems to only last until things get hard. You watched people leave, so deep down, you expect people to leave. And that's just, maybe it's just our families we're talking about right there, but it doesn't stop there. See, we carry the baggage off of that train of the experiences in our lives. Maybe you trusted someone and they betrayed you. So now your mindset is never let anybody get too close. Maybe you worked under someone who controlled everything, and then so now your mindset is anybody who's in authority is out to manipulate me. Maybe you poured your heart into someone and they left, and now your mindset is that love never lasts. These mindsets, they become the default settings. Everybody say default settings into every relationship. And then we wonder why things get messy. We wonder why things are messy because we've brought these default settings, these old ways into this new relationship or the relationships in our lives. And most of us, we're not intentionally trying to make things harder. We're just living out what we've known. We're just living out where we came from. But if we're not careful, I want you to write it down. What we don't challenge will keep challenging us. Well, this is just what I know. This is where I'm from, and you got to understand this is what I've seen in my life. This is part of my life. That's fine, and I understand we didn't get to choose where we're from, but we have to learn to challenge some things in our lives, or they will continue to challenge us. If we don't challenge the messy mindsets, they will continue to challenge the relationships in our lives. See, a few weeks ago, we talked about building our lives on fasting. You guys remember that? Remember, we're building our lives with the word and with prayer. You guys remember talking about that? Okay? That's the foundation for everything. Don't want you to misunderstand what I'm saying today. We have to get it because I felt like the Lord was helping us to build on where the last series we were just in. That's the foundation for everything. We start with the non-negotiables. We start with that. But how many knows we're not designed to live siloed lives? We're not designed to be isolated and alone living on an island. Okay? So you can pray and you can fast and you can be in the Word and those things are good, but a lot of that stuff you could do by yourself. And technically you could do in the presence of your own home with nobody around. But the issue is we can't stop there because we need relationships in our lives. So in these relationships, when it comes to relationships, we have to build those. So we have to not only be building with prayer, fasting, and the Word, but we have to learn what else is there in life that we can use to build and develop these relationships. But the problem is too many are building on messy mindsets that they've inherited or developed. They're building on what they've always known. They're building on what they carried with them into the new frontier. See, we begin to build our relationships on questions like this. What's in it for me? We build our relationships based off questions like, what do I get out of this? How about this one? What feels right? See, if you make me feel right, this must be right. I'm talking to you. If this relationship, if you make me feel right, this must be right. If you make me feel good, then you must be a good friend. See, I'm not saying that feeling good or feeling happy or feeling all those things are a bad thing. I'm just saying they shouldn't be the foundational blocks for a relationship. See, what makes us happy, it changes over time. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm building on what makes me happy, the issue is things that make me happy shift as I grow. All right, let me give you an example. When I was younger, we grew up in a small town, man, in Mississippi. There was not much going on there. It was just, y'all, anybody, small town folks around here? Okay, we got a few of them. That's where I got the cowboy hat and the boot idea from, man. It's the life we live. Yeah, y'all, I'll tell you this. Bishop brought me home from the hospital when I was born in a white cowboy hat, white cowboy boots, and a white three-piece suit, in a white Corvette with the T-tops off. Cowboys in our nature, you know. But there was not much to do in this town, but so the idea for us in that when we wanted to celebrate our birthday, me and all my three sisters, I don't know, she's going to figure out in a second where I'm headed with this, but we want to celebrate our birthday. There was really only one thing in town that we liked to do because it was only one thing to do, I guess. But we loved it. We would all get together in our big old station wagon with the wood panels on the side. Oh yeah, I got too young of an audience or something. So the wood panels on the side, man, we'd all pile in there. It's like a 57-seater car. Man, you know, like 3 miles to the gallon. All right, we all get in there and we're headed to town. And we get into town and we're headed to our favorite place that made us happy for our birthday, and that was McDonald's. Listen, this is back in the day when McDonald's wasn't just like it is now. I mean, it was actually a lot more depressing back then, to be honest with you. But either way, it was, when you go in there for your birthday, you know who showed up? Ronald McDonald. That's right. Ronald was there. I don't know how, he must have just lived in our town. Clown suit and all, creepy as can be. Big old shoes, wablow, skablow, skablow. Ronald McDonald shows up. Then they had these other workers that were in there. Y'all, I don't know why. One of the things that made us the most happy, get all our friends together and we played a game. You talking about aging, you're quick. Here you go, you ready? Pin the tail on the donkey. Just stop and process that. The game is pin the tail on the donkey. But we were happy, folks. Me and my three sisters, that's just what we would do on a regular basis. But my birthday, it shows up in April every year. Imagine that. Every year, the same time. It's coming up here in a few months. Now, if my family got me together and they got everybody together and they said, listen, we want to do something special. We want to take you to McDonald's. I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to be near as happy as I was back then. What made me happy then doesn't necessarily make me happy now. If we build on what makes us happy, it shifts over time and it's not a firm foundation. If your relationship is built on how things make you feel. Let me just ask you a question. What happens when that's gone? Oh man, you make me feel so good. But what happens when that feeling goes? What happens when they really made me so happy? There's feelings of happiness. What happens when the feeling of happiness just goes away? What happens when you built it on, they say all the right things. I love the way they say the stuff that they say. It's just so, they just have a way with words. What if they don't say those things like they used to? I'm building it on this stuff. I love the way that we would stay on the phone for hours. No, you hang up. No, you hang up. Conversations just isn't quite like it used to be. I don't feel quite the same as I used to feel. It used to make me feel so special. I felt so special. I don't feel as special as I used to feel. I don't feel as handsome as I used to feel. I don't feel as pretty as I used to feel. I don't feel the things that I used to feel. You made me feel that way before, and I was using that as a building block for our relationship, but what happens? So these feelings, it's hard to build on. It's hard to establish that they're going to be there forever. And it's only a matter of time to when they get removed one block at a time. You'll find yourself saying, man, that relationship doesn't feel like it used to feel. I thought we were in love, and I don't feel that love that I used to feel. I don't feel those things anymore. And then eventually it just, what do I have now? I've got a mess. What used to be a great relationship, and that's what I have, and these things are great. Now I've got chaos. Now I've got a mess. All because I built it on the wrong things, and when those things shift over time, when those things change over time, the relationship falls apart. When it's built on what's in it for me, and I don't get that satisfaction anymore, then it falls. Then the mess begins. If we build the relationships on those things, we get these fractured friendships. We get unhealthy working relationships. We get broken parent-child relationships. We get unstable marriages. That's what we get, and we wonder why we get that. Let me say it this way, just in case you're not getting the picture here today. Building a relationship on feelings is like building a fire. Anybody build fires? You got folks in it, yeah, I'm just trying to see who was born in the city and who's not. Okay. You build some fires. Building a relationship on feelings is like building a fire with napkins. Okay? You could do it. You light that napkin up and you throw it in there. Now you're going to get something that's going to heat up real fast. And it's going to burn real bright. And it's going to feel good for just a few moments. But if you want to keep that going, what happens next? You got to throw another napkin on there. You got to, it feels good for a second, it feels great. Oh man, that was nice. The warmth of the fire. Man, it feels nice, it looks nice. Oh, it's burned up. And you keep throwing it. This is what feelings do. This is what happiness is based off of. You just keep throwing it in there. You keep throwing it in there. Here's the problem. As soon as you run out of napkins, the flame goes out. As soon as you run out of being able to completely just throw that stuff on there week in and week out, day in and day out, I'm looking for a new experience. I'm looking for something new to kind of spark our relationship. I'm looking for something new to kind of keep it whatever else. Those things may be nice, but if they're built on that, you won't be able to sustain it. I told you on the onset that this was for all the relationships in your life. I don't have time to preach this all through and through right here, right now. But I'm talking about our human relationships. But boy, isn't this the same for our walk with God. God, I'm just looking for something fresh. I'm looking for something new. I'm looking for the feeling. I'm looking for you to give me this feeling again. I haven't had the tinglies in a little while. I'm worshiping. I'm worshiping on Sunday, and I want to feel something. I want to do, and it's all about that. And now, here, God, come on, please keep hitting me with something else fresh, something else new to make me feel good. And as soon as that stops, we think, okay, God, I guess you don't love me anymore. Man, I'm preaching to somebody today.
That's good.
There is a better way. Everybody say there's a better way. So let's talk about what actually builds strong relationships. You ready? In your notes here today, healthy relationships are built on, number one, trust. Everybody say trust. Some of you guys are already shaking your head thinking, man, he does not know the people in my life. Ain't no way I'm trusting. Well, I want to be real with you. Trust isn't my natural response every time either. It's not my default setting sometimes. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's difficult. Even when Google Maps says this is the fastest route, Y'all know I'm zooming in. I'm like, hold on. I don't know, Google. Are you sure? I don't know. I got to do it, Brother David. I don't know where you're at. I told you, I said I was going to do it. But in the minister's meeting beforehand, I was like, it says it's supposed to, have some snow on Tuesday morning or whatever else. And then Brother David immediately was like, pulled out his phone. I will see about that. I'm messing with you. But that's what we do. It's just like trust isn't our default setting. We're trying to confirm it. We want to know for sure. Write this down. Every relationship has two choices. A, trust. B, suspicion. Okay? A, trust is believing the best. B is suspicion, and that's expecting the worst. Every time you have a choice to make. Now, I'm going to spend some time here, and I'm hoping you're not in a big hurry today because there's some things we want to learn together. But trust, listen, it's hard. Because people can be disappointing. They can be. How about this one? They will be. People, I will be disappointed to someone. You will be disappointed to someone else. Disappointment, listen, maybe you ought to write it down. Disappointment lives in unmet expectations. People will constantly end up below your expectation. Now think about it. This is where your expectation is. Just know in advance. People will end up somewhere in here. Now, some of them will be like way down here, but at least here. People will regularly live below what you expect. That's just the way it goes. Y'all know what I'm talking about because they said they were going to help you move. And then something came up. Come on, man. I thought you were going to be there for me. You texted them a full paragraph of your feelings and thoughts, and they text back K or a thumbs up. They hype up a restaurant. You gotta go here, and you show up and it is mid at best. You're like, I don't think I can trust you anymore. They RSVP'd, didn't show. You told them a secret, and it is now no longer a secret. They told you they'd fast with you. And you see them pulling out a Wendy's with a handful of spicy nugs. Come on. I thought I could believe in you. Well, let's get real. They said they were going to do the dishes and help you out. Dishes are still sitting there. Oh, you want to get real painful. They forgot your birthday. It's going to get increasingly worse. They forgot your anniversary. Oh, here we go. They forgot Valentine's Day. This Friday. Just in case somebody, I better see a lot of pens going right now. Oh my Lord, this Friday. They will disappoint you. Everybody say sometimes it's disappointing. There will always be a gap between what someone said they would do and what they actually do. Now, I'm going to spend some time here, and again, I'm hoping we can just relax and learn these principles that are going to help us today. But there's this gap, and every time that gap appears between what someone said they were going to do and what they did, you guys get it? That's the gap. What they said they were going to do and what they did, there's a gap. And every time that gap appears, you have to fill it with something. You have a choice to fill that gap. It is your choice to fill the gap with trust and say something along the lines of, there's probably a good reason for it, and I don't know what the reason is, but I trust them, and there's probably a good explanation for this. Okay? Then there's another one, and that's suspicion, and that is, I knew it. I couldn't trust them for nothing. They're probably out doing this or doing that. I can't count on them. That's what we could fill that gap with. How you fill that gap determines everything in relationships. You understand that? No, don't like go over here, go over there. Don't get distracted by anything else. What you fill that space with determines everything for a relationship. Everything. Had something happen this week, and a big change in the schedule, and I was supposed to be at a conference, and I'm doing this and that, and I'm headed to this conference. The conference gets canceled, and it threw my whole weekend in a tizzy. All right? And then I've been preparing this message, and I've got a choice to make. why would they cancel this conference, midway through and all this stuff that's kind of throwing my life in kind of a disarray there for a day or two. And then I'm looking, and I talked to my wife on the phone, and I said, you know what? I have a choice to make. There's probably a good reason for it, and I'll have to just trust that there's a good reason for it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? There's just there's a good reason for why it is, and I'm just going to have to believe the best in that. We have a choice to make in every situation as to whether or not what we will fill that gap with. But here's the problem. You'll always find what you're looking for. Listen, if you're a suspicious person, and you're suspicious in this situation, and if you expect people to let you down, you will see every mistake they make as proof that you were right about them. I'm suspicious. I knew it. Every little mistake, you're going to find it, and you're going to be, got it. Oh, I found it. And you're going to put that in your little pouch and keep that for later, because it's like, I know, I told you. See, and you remind them, you messed up here. I knew I couldn't trust you. We're suspicious people. We'll find what we're looking for. If you expect people to be trustworthy, then you're going to give them the space to show that they actually are trustworthy. So years back, I went to see a Christian comedian, and heard good guy or whatever else. I didn't know much about him. But as I'm going in, apparently other people knew this guy. But as I'm walking in, I'm seeing they've got smiles all over their faces. All right, they're in there, they're like laughing and walking in, and just got this giddy look. And then I'm just looking around, I'm like, this atmosphere is it's a happy atmosphere already. And then they just show his picture on the screen before he comes up. And people are already like, oh yeah, that guy, he's hilarious, and he just got a bunch of, everybody's just in this moment already and laughing. And he comes out and he says his first few lines, and everybody's already just in it. They are laughing and having a good time. And I'm getting into it. It seems like it's okay. It's fine. It's funny. But then you have these others that didn't expect it to be funny. And it takes them halfway through the show to be proved that he was funny. You know what I'm saying? Halfway through, he's like, okay, all right, we'll see. Well, that was pretty funny. Midway through, it gets a little bit more laughter and a little bit more laughter. And about midway, then all of a sudden they're on board. Here's the reality. The jokes didn't change. Nothing shifted. He didn't say, different things. Nothing changed at all. The only thing that was different was their expectation. Someone walked into it already expecting it to be funny. So right off the bat, it was funny. There was no on-ramp. Just go. This is great. The other ones needed it to be, they had to be proved that it was funny. It had to be proved that there was something that they would believe that whatever he was saying would move them to some sort of laughter. They were suspicious, and it took them an on-ramp to get there. So here's the reality. If you expect some things to happen, that's the same way it happens with church, by the way. If you expect God to move right off the bat, the first song, you're already in it. Some folks, if you're not expecting to move and you don't expect anything to happen, you could be midway through the service and we're still trying to win you over that Jesus is for you and he's here and he's going to make a difference in your life. But let me say it like this, and this is going to hurt a little bit, so just kind of brace. But some of you wonder why people don't even try with you anymore. I'll tell you why. It's because they have to work so hard just to get back up to zero. They have to work so hard to work out of that deficit. See, they start in a trust deficit. Not because of what they did, but because of what someone else did to you. And they're spending so much time right off the bat. You're suspicious of them, and they're trying to work, and then what you're requiring of them is to start down here and building up. No, not up here where it should be, not up at zero. All right, just keep building. And they're getting tired because it takes them 2 years, and they're still trying to get up to where normally it would start out. You're starting at a trust deficit. No, you got to prove yourself. You got to understand. I've been hurt. I do understand that, but not by them. Do you understand? You see what I'm trying to say? We're requiring people to work through this trust deficit for something that they never did wrong. And then it's so much work for most relationships in our lives that people get weary. And no wonder people get weary in relationships where we're making them pay for damages that they never did. So fill the gaps with trust. But we also need to be someone that is trustworthy. What's trustworthy? It just means worthy of trust. Do you know what I'm saying? We need to trust someone, but we need to be worthy of the trust that they need to give to us. So let's be real for a second. No matter how much of a truth-telling angel you are, and I know we all are here, you still create relationship gaps. What you meant to do and what you did. Understand? Okay, why? Why? Because sometimes you forget. Sometimes, I'm not saying it's intentional, but I'm saying sometimes you ran out of time. Sometimes the circumstances changed, and you thought what you thought you could do, you can no longer do. And then we create these gaps there. Write this down. Being trustworthy doesn't mean you never fail. It means you own your gaps before someone else has to bring them up. Listen to this. Integrity isn't about perfection. It's about accountability. Okay? Listen very carefully. This is going to help your relationship in a big way. If you forgot, own it. If you messed up, apologize. That's how we close this gap. See, if you're running a little bit late or you're running a lot bit late, just say it. Before they call me or text me or let me know, or they're trying to find out where I'm at. No, I'm going to say, hey boss, I'm running about 10 minutes late. I didn't factor in the traffic. I just want you to know I'm an on-time type person, and I dropped the ball on this one. I'm going to get a hold of you before you have to get a hold of me. There's a gap there, and you're going to try to fill it, whether you fill it with trust or suspicion. I don't want you to have to wonder what to fill it with. I'm a trustworthy person, so I will fill that gap for you. You with me? How about this one? Hey, babe, I told you I'd meet you for dinner tonight, and I'm still at work. And I don't, here we go, listen closely. I don't have a good excuse. Here's the big one. It's nobody else's fault. But I want you to know that I'm going to make it up to you this week. That's how we fill that gap. Now, if you're always blaming it on everybody else, that gap never gets filled, because it'll just feel like you just live a victim's life and everything is all like you had no choice in the matter. We normally have a choice in the matter. Sometimes we just mess up. So we fill that gap in advance. How about this? We'd be stronger, have a stronger parent-child relationship if we went to our kids and said, hey, listen, I promised you that I would take you to this place and I didn't do it. And that's on me, and I'm sorry. Now, I want to say this. No wonder some kids struggle to apologize, because they never hear their parents apologize. We have to close the gap even with our children before the mess can grow. When I'm the one, and I'm going to spend a few moments here, but I'm the one, I did something wrong, and I'm the one who knocked over this relationship I messed up. I've done something wrong, and I've broken the trust. I want to make it clear, it's my responsibility to rebuild it. Okay? You guys with me? If I'm the one who messed this up, it's on me to rebuild it. It's my responsibility to make it up in the relationship, to do what is necessary to get it rebuilt. Okay? In relationships, when you're the one that breaks the trust, it's on you. It's yours. Now, if your husband or wife is needing that trust gap to be closed because of something that you've done, and they ask you for every password and every username, you give it to them. Because it's not about them controlling you. They're just trying to control you. They're just trying to control me. They just want this and that. No. They need that trust to be rebuilt, and it's on you to make sure that happens. If you got something to hide, that's what you need to address right off the bat. That secret stuff, that's where messes grow. This gap where they're wondering what you're doing or wondering what's there or wonder what's happening, that's how relationships get messed up. That's how they topple. What we have to do is fill that gap. It's on us to be trustworthy. I wasn't trying to make friends today, but hopefully I'll shake your hand afterwards. We'll be friends then. It's our responsibility to close any gaps we can because the messes grow there. We're going to build our relationships on trust. Everybody say trust. Here we go. Once we have trust, the next block I need is to build a healthy relationship is honesty. The next block is honesty. Everybody say honesty. Let's just say this nice and loud and clear. You don't get honesty without trust. Okay? So if I'm building my relationship on what makes me feel good, then I don't think I want honesty. Right? If I'm looking for what makes me feel good, honesty is like the last thing you want. All right? Because it just, sometimes honesty, it requires those deep conversations. Real honestly, if I want to feel good, I'm not looking for the deep conversation. I'm not looking for real feedback. I'm not looking to face the music. I just want someone to tell me that I'm amazing and pass the queso. If the relationship is built on feelings, when things get real, I might just hit the eject button. I'm out. I might ghost that friendship. I might avoid that conversation. I'll start feeling led to find a new church. Oh, I'm preaching if I've ever preached. If it's based on feelings and how I feel and how you make me feel and how this church makes me feel, if that's the foundation, it won't take long till you're like, I need to find somewhere else that's going to feed some more napkins on my fire. Woo! If y'all knew my grandfather preacher, Louis Manuel, you would know that I just somehow became him for about 3 seconds right there. That felt weird to me. Not weird, but cool. But I was like, wow, I just felt like I was him. All right. Healthy relationships, they don't work that way. They require honesty that forces us to deal with some things. Proverbs 19:20 says this: listen to advice and accept discipline, and at the end you will be counted among the wise. Now I want you to watch this. A healthy, life-giving relationship isn't two people lying to each other so they feel better. All right? And I'm going to try to help somebody here. This isn't just two people just trying to make each other feel better. Just to make sure and tell them everything that they want to hear. Here's two things. I want you to write it down. Watch this. And go. Next one, and go. Here we are. There are lies people tell to hide things from you, and there are lies people tell to hide you from you. They want you to feel good, so they lie to you. Oh, you're not passive aggressive. Don't you worry about it. No, you do not have an attitude. Not a problem at all. You are a joy to work with. You're not dramatic. You just have big feelings. No, you haven't shared that same story 6,000 times. Lie, liar. People lying. Liar, pantalones and llamas. They're lying through their teeth, and at least it makes you feel good. But on the other side, there's people that are a little bit too honest. You know what I'm talking about? Don't look around right now. We got a few around. Just a little too honest. You know what I mean? Like, they're just like, no, I'm just being honest. No, you're being mean. Check this out. Ephesians 4:15 says, instead, speaking the truth in love, we will grow. Speaking the truth in love. Speak the truth with love. Don't speak truth with a baseball bat. Truth is always meant to edify. Truth is meant to make you free. That's what we're supposed to do with truth. That's what honesty does. It meant to build each other. Sometimes it's painful, but in the end result, it's meant to help each other grow. Because if honesty isn't coming from a place of love, it is used as a weapon. And we can't use truth as a weapon in healthy relationships. Speak truth. Be honest, but do it with love. Maybe that deserves a hand clap. Look at somebody beside you and say, be honest, but be nice. All right, check this out. When I trust you, I can have honesty. And when I have honesty, I can actually move forward. Pay attention. But if I don't trust you, I can't be honest with you. And if I can't be honest with you, I cannot build with you. So the first building block is trust. Then we have honesty. And I'm rounding it out today. Everything is held together by the third one, and that is commitment. We have to have all three. Now, I've built everything to kind of get to this, and I want to make sure everybody understands how we're going to land this thing here today. But love isn't the test of commitment. Difficulty is. See, love is what inspires commitment. I want to spend my life with you. I want to develop a friendship with you. There's this love. There's this, I want to give in this situation. I'm feeling this now, and I love this, and it inspires that moment. It inspires the commitment, but it's not what proves the commitment. Hardship does. So anybody can love when it's all sunshine and butterflies and honeymoons, and when things feel nice and when there's no friction. But when the road gets rough and the West is feeling a little bit more wild, when the feelings begin to fade, when disappointment starts showing up at your door and starts knocking on it, that's when commitment is tested. Everybody say tested. John 15:13, greater love has no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. What am I saying here? I'm saying Jesus' commitment was tested in the difficulty of Gethsemane. It was tested in the agony of the cross. It was tested in the weight of suffering. Love is what got Jesus to the cross, but commitment is what kept him there. Love got him to that moment. Love for us, and love for humanity. And what we know needs to happen is he needed to be that sacrifice. But you have to understand, at any given moment, he could have called on a host of angels from heaven to rescue him from that moment so he wouldn't have to endure all of that. But he says, I am committed to the cause. I'm committed to my people. And it held him where he could have escaped. The last thing I want to say to you is this, my last point. Love says, I care. Commitment says, I'll stay. Honey, we may have been through some tough times. We may go through some difficult situations. I want you to know I'm still here. Though the road, sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's bad, and sometimes it's messy. I want you to know I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to keep building. I'm going to build with trust. I'm going to build with honesty. I'm going to build with commitment. Somebody in this room today needs to say, I'm ready for the commitment to stay strong in my life, to let people know that I love them, but I'm going to stay with them. The tough times may come, but I'm going to have some staying power in my relationships. If you'd all stand and give God some praise for just a moment and say, thank you for your staying power. Thank you for your commitment. I'd ask you if you'd close your eyes for just a moment. Close your eyes. If you've got a mess or two in your life, if you've got relationships that are just complicated, if you've got some trust issues that you're working through, I want to tell you today you're in the right place. It doesn't matter where you started. It doesn't matter what you inherited. It doesn't matter what baggage that you're carrying. You're in the right place today. We all want love, and we all want to feel good. But what we need is what holds things together, and that's the trust, and that's honesty, and that's commitment. Pastor, I don't know if I can trust again. I don't know if I've got that in me. I just want to encourage you today. Start with Jesus. Trust that he's going to do what he said he was going to do, that you're never going to be alone, that he'll stick closer than a brother. If you could start with trusting him, it'll unlock that trust in your life. You could start to trust others and say, God, I just want to learn to trust again. Start with Jesus today. If you want to start with honesty, start with trusting Jesus and saying, God, I want to be honest with you. I can trust you that I can open up myself with you. And I want to tell you today, we have to be honest with ourselves on this Sunday morning. Start with committing to him. Start committing to his way. And he says, I'm going to be with you every step of the way through these relationships. I'm going to help nurture your home. I'm going to help strengthen your relationships. I'm going to help strengthen those areas of your life. Yes, for everything there's a season, but the mess, it doesn't have to last forever. You can open your eyes today for all the relationships represented in this room today, and there's many. Whether it's a spouse, whether it's a family, whether it's a friend. I can't think of anything more fitting than to pray together today. I believe in the power of prayer, and I believe in the power of unity. I'm asking you to grab somebody by the hand, and I want you to walk to this altar today, and I want you to let somebody know and say, I choose to trust with you. It's a family member, it's a friend, it's somebody. Get as close as you can. Come up as close as you can. Fill in all the space. I want you during this time to say, we're committed to this. I'm committed to closing any gaps in our relationship. I'm committed to trusting you. Come in as close as you can. There's going to be many here today. Please fill in all the space. This is where healing starts. This is where we start building healthy relationships. I want you to raise your hands or pray with each other. And I want you to begin to pray with each other and for each other. And let the Holy Ghost begin to deal with your life. If you're here today and you just want prayer and you said, I just need some strength, I just need prayer. I need you to do what you can to say, God, here I am. Fill me, strengthen me, nurture me, encourage my spirit today.